Hi everybody and welcome back. It has been a little while again since I last picked up the camera to vlog. It's been a bit of a busy time lately on multiple fronts. I have been doing little bits and pieces around here as time allows, but all of it has really been a few minutes here and a few minutes there. It hasn't been something that warranted picking up the camera to document. Now it's kind of reached the point where everything has added up and I can give you a solid update on what has been happening. I do have one or two things that I would like to get into later on in this video, but as usual we're just going to see where things go. I'm not sure if I'm going to get there or not. So with that, I'm just going to get you guys caught up today. I don't really have anything else that I wanted to do, but I do really need to show you what's progressed so far before I start anything else so that I don't forget to show you anything. So first of all, I'm coming here to the display. I did talk about finding a new place for the mission at the end of the last video. So the mission has taken the place of the halogen star. I was kind of wanting to cut down the Casablanca presence a little bit, and with the IntelliTouch control already in the wall, this was kind of the ideal fit. So that's pretty much the update on that one. I'm sure you're already seeing another update off here to the side, but before I get to that, I'm going to stop over here. This was a simple light kit swap out on the Santa Cruz. This change kind of just played into a bigger scheme of what's happening organically with the display right now. You can kind of see on either of the outer sides, the light kits are a little bit more toned down. After all the change outs I made on that end, this one light kit just seemed really bright. So going down to a 3 light kit with more of a downward angle helped with that quite a bit. Normally I'm really not big on these clustered light kits. You guys can tell that I really haven't used them much on the display, but on this particular fan I actually think this light kit suits it better than what was on it before. So overall I think that change was for the better. So now where the Avalon was, I already showed that I installed my Progress Lighting Vast. I've been debating putting up my Era Eco on the display for quite some time, but since this fan was already assembled from the review video, I thought it made a little bit more sense to put this one up here. And with what I'm doing with new products on the other end, it did make sense to put up a newer introduction. So with the Vast here, the Avalon has moved into this space. I actually really like that these fans have the same finish scheme, but you kind of get the contrast between new and older. They're both kind of mid-size large fans in the same finish combination, but you get that nice contrast of styles. Pretty much like everything else with remotes, I did mount this one over here. So there's that, and there is more for display updates, but while I'm right here, I am going to show this. I did some vinyl cutting because I've wanted to put together a little display of the brands that I work with and represent. Not even really just for me, but oftentimes when I have guests through here, they're either aware that I work with companies or become aware that I work with companies. In the midst of those conversations, it's not exactly easy to name drop the companies that I work with because most people don't know these companies. Sometimes people also ask, well, how many companies do you work with? And it can be hard to remember exactly how many I do work with in that moment. So I've really been wanting to create something like this so that when that conversation happens, I have a visual representation of the brands that I work with. I do also want to give the brands that I work with this kind of recognition. Now I will say that I may redo some of this. When I originally laid this out, I wasn't exactly sure where I was going to put it. There was potential for it to go here, which is why I laid it out the way that I did. Since I have a little bit more room in this area, I think I could lay them out a little bit differently. For right now, it serves the purpose that I need it to, so I'm not in any rush to change it. I will also say some of these guys on the end are just verbal commits right now. I have not received product so far. They may not remain on this wall, but I did want to put them in while I was laying this out because I have had great conversations with them, and hopefully we will be seeing products from them in the future. Now we're going back to the display. With the Avalon moving over a space, I needed a new home for the Islander. I know this fan has been on display a lot, but I really don't have much for Fanimation that isn't new in box. I have been a little bit more lenient with putting new in box products up, but I really don't want the whole display to be new in box stuff. So the Lancelot came down. That one has been on display since the very beginning, so it was due for a change. I am so sorry, the lighting is so bad on this. Let's see if we can get it in better view. I did go back to the small Caruso blades. When I originally moved it over here, I left the blades on that were on in the other location. They physically fit fine in this location with the surrounding fans, but they were just visually a little bit too bulky. They really grabbed a lot of visual attention and kind of blocked the fans further down on the display. So I went back to the small blades, which I do really like on this fan. I think they're my favorite of the palm blades. I also did a 4-light kit, which goes with the scheme I have going on down the center, a little bit more light output as opposed to the outer edges with less. Originally, I was kind of putting just any light kits anywhere for additional light output. These days, I'm able to fine-tune that a little bit more to get actual light where I need it. So now moving on to the final display update, the Lasco came down. I needed to use its mounting bracket to do the video for the fan that I found on cleanup week. The Lasco has been up for a while, so I figured we might as well change it out when it was coming down anyways. So this is a little CECGE vent. This is the one that's labeled Capital Fan Company of New Orleans. Actually a cleanup week find itself. When I found it, it did not have a canopy with it. I was always hoping to find a spare moss canopy for it. I just love how these canopies look on these particular fans. Thanks to Mark and his little spree of parting out fans that he got from Adam, I was able to finally source a canopy for this fan. Finally having this one a little bit more complete, I really wanted to put it back up. Originally I went with no light, but I thought it was just a little bit too dark without one. I didn't want massive light output, but this area is kind of a little bit of a void without one. So I just went with a small single schoolhouse kit. I don't often get to use these smaller fitters and globes, so I thought this was a perfect opportunity to use one. And this one kind of takes over the classic GE vent look because I think I'm going to take down this one. I've talked about wanting to put my Casablanca Broadway on display. Since it hangs lower, I need it to be over something, so I think I'm going to put it over this table. Maybe we'll accomplish that later in this video. I have been hanging a fan or two at a time and back on the strut as I've had time to do so. So you can see I actually have some room opening up on this table. I also got some off the floor on the other side. So actually now I've readjusted the table to be centered on this center row of fans. Before it was more shoved off to this wall, which is why I've been waiting on putting up the Broadway because this location was more over the aisle than over the table before. Now that it's pretty much centered on the table, I can finally move forward with that. I'm also thinking about trying to get some lighting in here to shine down on the table. I'm thinking maybe just some lighting tracks in here that I can mount some downlights on. I'm not entirely sure yet. I'm kind of mulling that over in my mind right now. So we'll go back and look at some of the progress on the storage, but I just want to show you that the fans on the floor are really starting to dwindle finally. It has been a long road. I really never thought this stuff would be sitting around for this long. It really has been too long, but we are starting to get towards the home stretch. So now heading into storage, I will stop here first. I got those two shelves combined into one. Right now I'm thinking I'm going to utilize it mostly as a part station. If I eventually get more storage out by my workbench, I may move some of this out there, but that's not going to happen for a while. So to be able to organize some of this out and be able to access it better is going to be a big help for now. So I've already gone through and sorted out a bunch of my different parts. These containers, and actually a lot of the parts within them, came from a showroom that was closing. I bought out a lot of the loose parts inventory that they had. This is slightly organized, but mostly just stuffed in here for right now to get it out of the way. I mainly stalled out here for the time being because I ran out of tape for my label maker, and I didn't want to lose track of what I was doing with not being able to label things as I went. So this is still a work in progress that I will come back to and keep you updated on. I just haven't bothered on getting new label tape yet. But with this shelf in place, you can see the aisle that I have created here to get access to this shelf, and then everything over here is pretty much unchanged for the moment. Up above, I did just move these two fans over from where they were on this strut. They just hung too low for the space that I've created here, and I was constantly bumping my head on them, so I put them over the shelf, and I will hang something a little bit more low profile in these locations. Coming around to the other side, you can see the progress made here. I really would have recorded this for you, but it was literally one or two fans at a time anytime that I had a few extra minutes. And then also down here, these 2 premiums were added. I did cut equal pieces off both down rods for these. I just don't have any foreseeable installations for down rods as long as what these came with, so I just had to make them a little bit more practical. I did of course save the other pieces, and they're still very long down rods in case I ever need them in the future. An extra little tidbit on that front, I did fill in the former stealth space back here after I did the remake video. You may remember one of these premiums was hanging on the long down rod back over on this end. That space has been filled in by the black stealth on its original down rod. The premium hanging in that location before was fine, but since I made the decision to cut one premium down rod, I figured it made sense to cut both. And since the stealth was on the long down rod from the remake video, it made sense to put that in a new storage location. So things are moving along back here again. I still have not gotten supplies to hang up the rest of the strut that I do have on hand. With what I have up filling in, that is going to be a new priority. As usual, I have no idea when I will get to that. So I think that's all of the updates. I know it was a lot, but this is all stuff that I've been slowly getting done. I will wrap it up for now and see you back here soon for more. Hi everybody, I'm back again with some updates. I don't have enough time to start anything new tonight, but I do want to get these updates out of the way. I would have recorded more of this, but it involved some more in-depth electrical work. Particularly anytime I'm in the panel, safety comes first. Recording can be a little bit of a distraction, and the camera and tripod clutter up my work area. Many portions of what I did also required turning off the power at the breaker, so it was very dark and you wouldn't have been able to really see anything anyways. So I'll just go ahead and dive right into everything that I've done. So this isn't in the order that I worked, but it makes sense to explain it this way. Basically everything started with the fact that I needed to split the lighting circuits between this side and the display side. With everything on that circuit turned on, I was drawing the better part of 18 amps and we're only on a 15 amp breaker. It's not common for everything to be on at once, so I haven't had any problems with tripping breakers or anything so far, but I definitely don't want to be overloading things in that manner. So first things first, I ran the feed that basically does everything on this side, including the lighting and fans, into the panel. Previously it was just fed out of one of the old lighting boxes back here, so now everything on this side is on its own breaker, and the fluorescent lighting on this side is on its own breaker. And that definitely helped even out the loads. While I was in there messing with that, I wanted to add a speed control for the fans down on the end by the shelving. I had basically everything I needed for wiring in place. It was just a matter of putting in a 2-gang box and reconfiguring a little bit. I still need to get a switch plate for this. That's the one thing I forgot in all of the supplies that I got to do these projects. So now with a control location, I decided that I wanted to change out the fans on this end as well. I wanted to return to the industrial theme, which basically limited my options to these NuTone Pro lines. They're basically the lowest profile industrial fans I have. Anything else would hang lower than this for sure. 2 is definite total overkill for this location, but I have 2 fans and I already had 2 locations laid out, so why not install them both? It does seem a little bit lopsided when I have these big fans in a more confined space and these smaller fans in a more wide open space, but I don't want any larger fans in these locations because it really starts to cut down on my storage space. So I believe that pretty much wraps up that aspect of the project. Next, coming over here, I have wanted to rework this panel outlet area for quite some time. There used to be just one ground fault plug here and then a power strip plugged into it. It just wasn't the cleanest or most convenient setup, and I did have to go in here and open this up anyways because this is where I wanted to feed the Evergo from. So speaking of that, if we move over here, you can see I have my speed control in place, and I do finally have the fan up and running. This fan has always been remarkably quiet on a variable speed control, so that's what I wanted to utilize here. It definitely fulfills the function that I needed it to. I'm hoping someday soon that I'll be able to get my cleaning station set up in this area, but I still don't know when that's possibly going to happen. If you guys want individual videos of any of these things or the entire setup back here in general, just let me know. Enough has changed back here that it does kind of warrant a new video, but I'm not going to bother if nobody wants to see it. So do let me know any specifics that you want to see. With that out of the way, we're going to come out to the display area. While I had the panel open, I took the opportunity to run another home run over into this general area. Right now I just have it hanging down, but this is going to be the feed for my entire track lighting circuit. I'll be adding in another dimmer just like I have for the sconces. I don't want too many excess controls. It's mostly all just going to be on one. If I end up not liking the result or want more controllable zones, I can always break it up later. I just don't want to go overboard to begin with. So as of right now, I really don't have a lot of supplies to actually go into the track lighting aspect. Mainly what's going to progress forward with this is just getting that wire in the wall with the switch, as well as a switch leg back out to somewhere in the ceiling. I'll have updates and more information as I progress toward actually doing that project. But as of right now, I have my home run, and that is just where that stands. I'm thinking that's the last home run that I'm going to have to do down here. Based on the current draw that I measured on the other circuits that I do have, as well as my calculations for what will go into the track lighting circuit, any other small things that I do have to tap off in the future should be able to go on one of the other circuits that I already have existing. I don't have too many spaces left in the panel, and I certainly don't want to be the one to fill it up, so I'm really trying to make this the last one that I have to take up. With that, I think you're all updated, and I'm going to call it a night, and I will see you back soon for more. So I was down here working for just a little bit last night, and I wanted to stop in and just show you guys what I did. You can see here I have my second dimmer switch for the track lights installed. I got the wiring tucked in, and I have a switch leg coming over to here. And then the reason that I wanted to stop by here and just show you the little bit of progress I made is so that I don't have to explain what I'm doing later on. Hi, so I'm interrupting myself here because I want to backtrack a little bit on this track lighting thing. While editing this video, I realized I haven't really addressed what I'm trying to accomplish within the scope of this video. I've hinted at it a little bit on and off throughout the moving vlog series and now the shop vlog series as well. But now that I'm diving a little bit deeper into actually doing the project, I think I should give a little refresher on what exactly my goal is. So basically this track lighting is going to go mostly around the perimeter of the space. I have gotten to the point of really good light distribution down here, but especially when I go into showroom mode without the fluorescent lights on, I'd like to be able to highlight and draw more attention to some of the pieces around the perimeter of the space. A lot of the antiques and memorabilia and advertising stuff has been relegated to this sort of dark recess that has become the outer wall. Adding this lighting will not only add some more general lighting to the space, it'll help me better highlight some of these pieces that kind of just fade into the shadows on a regular basis. So that really takes care of what I wanted to address. I just wanted to provide some greater clarity on where this actual project is going. Within the vlog, I just kind of felt like I was throwing out this track lighting thing with no other context, and it didn't make a whole lot of sense. So this makes me feel a little bit better, giving you some more direction on where we're headed, and now I'm going to send you back to where I left off in the video. So moving on from here, as we progress down this center section, you can see that I've added in additional electrical boxes along the way. Basically, I'm just going to run wiring all the way down through all of these boxes, and then from these I can branch off and feed individual tracks. The reason I'm doing it this way is because, once again, flexibility is key in this space. I want the ability to take out and eliminate a track or add one in just as easily. I also don't want to run a complete track system around the entire basement. I could do that, but it would tie me very heavily to my initial placement, and it would also be very expensive for coverage that I don't really need in a number of places. Going this route and being able to branch off and rearrange as I need is going to make much more sense for my lifestyle in this space. It's really not how this would typically be done, but clearly nothing in my space is really typical. So as I mentioned earlier in the video, I'm not launching into this project full on right now. That's why I wanted to explain this part now so that I don't forget to do it later. But I also want to get this general infrastructure in place place so that I can kind of put the track in leisurely as I have time and funding to do so. So I may update or film some more as I'm running the rest of the wiring to these boxes, but I definitely don't have expectations of having a full track lighting system complete and done within the next video or two. So with that, this update is done, and I think I'm actually going to close out this video. Thank you all for watching today. Subscribe, ring the notification bell, do all the things before you leave, and I will see you next time. Click left to watch my last vlog, or click right for the entire shop vlog playlist so that you can start at the beginning.